Ang balitaan, maagang usapan sa mga issue at balita kasama si Kuya Angelo Palmones sa Magandang Umaga Pilipinas mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes.
Curious ka ba sa maraming bagay? Kami na ang bahala dyan. Aalamin,
Araw-araw, hindi makakilos sa panghuhusga nila. Araw-araw, sana ang bigat ng nakaraan. O ano bang dapat na gawin? Isip at puso ay kailangan ng tulong.
Magandang gabi po mga kababayan. Ito po muli si Jean Enriquez, ang Executive Director ng Coalition Against Trafficking in Women Asia Pacific at mula rin sa World March of Women Pilipinas. Ngayong gabi po ay ating tatalakayin ang usapin ng Rana Plaza collapse na nangyari noong 2013 at ano ang implikasyon nito sa mga kababaihan sa buong Asia. Kasama po natin ang mga leader na kababaihan ng World March of Women. At magiging Ingles po ang ating diskusyon sa gabing ito. Nais ko pong ipakilala. First, I would like to introduce from Bangladesh herself where the Rana Plaza collapse happened. And we want to understand what the impact of the Rana Plaza collapse was and has been up to now. But first, let me introduce our guests first. With us from Bangladesh is the coordinator of the World March of Women in Bangladesh, Ms. Salima Sultana. Good evening to you, Salima.
Hello, everyone. I'm Salima. I'm National Coordinating Body of World March of Women. Thank you.
And also with us is the coordinator of the World March of Women in Sri Lanka. She's also working among trade unionists, Ms. Gayani Gomez. Good evening to you, Gayani.
Good evening, Jean. Thank you for that introduction.
Okay, thank you for joining us. And also with us is a local leader in the Philippines of trade unions belonging to Centro, or the Center for Progressive and United Workers, Ms. Nice Coronacion. Magandang gabi sa iyo, Nice.
Magandang gabi po mga ka-action.
Ayan.
Nice to meet you.
And now we will be hearing from Salima because April 24 is coming close, and also Labor Day, which is being marked around the world. And we want to commemorate what happened in Rana Plaza on April 24 in 2013. Salima, we know that there were more than 2,000 workers who became victims to this collapse, and they were
Yes.
belonging to sweatshops. Please tell us how that affected not only the families of the workers themselves, but in general, the women and the workers in Bangladesh.
Okay, thank you, Jean, for giving me the space to talk about Rana Plaza. You know that it has been over a decade since the Rana Plaza disaster. Rana Plaza was a building complex in Shabar, is a suburb area near Dhaka in Bangladesh. In April 2013, it collapsed and it's become one of the worst industrial disasters in history. More than 1,100 people have died and over 2,500 were injured. Most of them were the poor women, those who are working with the garments and making clothes for big brands, global big brands. The women who were affected a lot. Their struggle are like what many women around in the world still face today. And we should remember the people who died and learn from what happened in Bangladesh. This is why the World March of Women remembers Rana Plaza Day every year as symbol of struggle related with women. And you know that after Rana Plaza, there are some of the key initiative under by the Bangladesh Garment Manufacturing Association. After the Rana Plaza collapse, it's the mirror what actually happened in the garments industry. Try to improve their safety code, building code, sustainability, and welfare of the workers, capacity building, strong reporting mechanism, because you know that in garments industry, because of the women, they are harassed, violence, and many things, so they are not reported. The reporting system is strong after the Rana Plaza. All this makes the environment better than before, actually. And the labor force and other fight for equal wages and other things. So after Rana Plaza, now it's been screening what happened and what will be happen next. So there are lot of things better before than Rana Plaza.
Right. Mhm. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Salima. And I know that this year there are going to be a lot more actions to commemorate
Yeah.
this, calling for the accountability of corporations. But also related to that, the plight of workers in Asia is made worse because of the war that is
Yeah.
being initiated by the government of the United States against countries in the Middle East. And this is affecting workers not only in the Middle East, but also in Asia and the rest of the world. So we want to know from NICE also and from Gayani, how is the situation of women workers in your countries in the face of the war? I'm sure the rising costs of fuel are affecting you,
Yeah.
but let us know how it was made worse because of the Trump administration. Go ahead, Gayani, if you
Okay.
want to go ahead
I'm
first.
answering Organi.
Okay. Salima would want to answer first because she has to go ahead because it's New Year in Bangladesh. Go ahead, Salima. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
thank you, giving me the space. The current global, conflict where are not directly happening in Bangladesh, but they're strongly affecting the current country situation in garment industry also. About the 60% of the worker are women. Because of this, women workers face economic, social, and workplace impact. Because of the work situation, job loss and employment insecurity is very high in Bangladesh. Global insecurity reduce clothing demand, mess up the supply chain. As a result, factories are reduced and close orders, leading to layoff. Over 100,000 garments workers lost their job due to the factory closure. Most of them workers are, they are women, and they are first to lose their job. Rising living cost is a burning question. Where increased fuel, you said that fuel, food, and transport prices globally, but garments worker wages remain very low and often unchanged. Women workers struggle more because of they support the family, their children. They spend more on food, children, healthcare, and other things. So women are very much aware nowadays because of the wear. Increased workload and exploitation. Factories are cut off their, due to the reduced profit margin. They leads to long working hour, forced to overtime, job insecurity, verbal harassment, and women lost their, their bargaining power, which increased poverty and social vulnerabilities. Health and safety risks remain high. Because of that, factories are not now interested on in invest their safety investment in the factories. Maybe another Rana Plaza could be happen in these situations. This the moral things I need to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Salima. Anytime, I know that you have to leave, but thank you for joining us this evening. And
Thank
I
you.
will now proceed to listening to Gayani. Go ahead,
Okay.
Gayani.
Thank you so much, Jean. So, like, when we talk about wars, we often think, like, especially in our countries, people think that about bombs and violence only. But we must also understand that hidden impacts, especially on women and women workers, because we know from above, especially women, our children are becoming most vulnerable during these times. So normally we know that wars destroy not only countries but also the economies and everyday lives. Especially factory closures, supply chains are disrupted, because I'm now linking this with the garment industry since I'm present in that industry, and also many workers suddenly lose their jobs. Women workers are often the most affected because they are already in the vulnerable, low paid positions within the global economy. When women lose their jobs, it directly affects their families and also the communities as well. And many are pushed deeper into the poverty. Some are forced to migrate under unsafe conditions as well, and while others take up informal or risky work just to survive. This increases like exploitation and also including forced labor and trafficking as well during the war period. Globally, we see several key impacts of war on women workers, especially. I can give some examples like loss of livelihoods because industries collapse or relocate, leaving women without any income or any social protection. Increase in unpaid care work, that is also a main issue these days. Women take on more responsibilities at home during this crisis and this hard times, limiting their economic independence as well. And we have identified that gender-based violence, increase of gender-based violence, and this is sharp, rise in sexual harassment and domestic violence and exploitation during the conflict time. And displacement and migration is main issue because in Sri Lanka, we also have faced a 30-year of civil war. Women became refugees, internally displaced or facing unsafe working and living conditions as well. And the main thing is exclusion from decision making. Women are often left out from the peace building and economic recovery processes. We have observed this throughout the history of Sri Lanka and of the global history as well. And also the weak labor protections, labor laws and monitoring systems break down, and increased abuses in the workplace is also arising. So from a global supply chain perspectives, brands and companies often shift from one country to another country due to instability. But when they leave, they do not think about workers. Workers are left behind without compensation, without justice, without any safety net. So normally, this creates long-term insecurity for women workers. If we look at Sri Lanka, we can also relate to these realities. During the recent economic crisis and global instability, women workers in the garment sector face wage cuts, job losses, and also increased production pressure as well. So many struggle to afford basic needs. So even if we are not directly in the war zone, the global impact of war conflict still reach us. And we must clearly understand the women workers are paying the hidden prices of war they did not create. So as a global feminist movement, including World March of Women, we stand for peace, justice, and accountability. And we demand that women workers' rights, safety, and dignity must be protected all times, because all times during the war and during the peace process as well, because there can be no real peace without economic justice, and no justice without recognizing the rights and voices of women and women workers. So like from factory floor to the conflict zones, our struggles are one, and our message is clear: women's lives does not disposable, and their rights are not negotiable.
Thank you so much, Gayani, for the very informative sharing and the very powerful statement. Let's hear also from Nice Coronacion from the Philippines.
Thank you, Miss Jean, and to our sisters who have shared their situation, especially of the women in their countries in relation to the impacts of war. We in the Philippines, many are heavily affected, all sectors across sexes, but most importantly for women. During the time of crisis, even our Labor First survey was released weeks ago, and it showed that women participation in the labor force declined by 20%. So many are losing their jobs, and since the war is in the Middle East, many of the women workers who are care workers, domestic workers are also forced to go back to the Philippines. Good in a sense that they will be coming home with their family, but when asked, they don't want it because it's not easy to get jobs here. So they are risking for them, it's better to risk their lives being there to work rather than here in the country where jobless growth continues to rise. underemployment remains high, meaning many of the workers, many of the women, even though we have full-time work, aside from the domestic chores, domestic work that we carry, the multiple burden that we carry, we still are looking for additional work for us to have additional income, aside from the fact that many of us also suffered from different forms of gender-based violence. And this is very problematic because most of the time it will be economic issues first before the issues of domestic violence and different forms of violence against women and children. And many women will be victims of trafficking and prostitution given this current crisis that we have. There are more vulnerable women if this kind of crisis and situation continues to exist and rise. Kaya kami po sa Kilusang Paggawa, napakahalaga ng role ng aming ugnayan at relasyon sa mga kilusang kababaihan para gabayan kami na yung aming mga tinutulak na polisiya ay mag-a-address din at magtutugon hindi lang para sa industrial policy at paglikha ng trabaho, pero makatulong sa pagwawakas po ng karahasan laban sa kababaihan na mas tumitindi sa panahon ng merong gera at sa panahon ng mas matindi ang economic crisis po.
Yes, thank you so much to both of you for sharing the impact of the wars on women in Asia, especially that most of the women in our respective countries are also migrating to the Middle East. So what would be your call in the face of April 24 and also May 1 for Labor Day? Would you want to call on the public to mobilize and also to echo the calls that you just made tonight? Go ahead, Gayani.
Thank you, Jane, again. So I just wanted to state that April 24th and May 1st are not just dates on a calendar. So they are days of memory, resistance, and collective action for workers across the world. So April 24th makes the anniversary of Rana Plaza collapse. And on this day, we do not only remember the only more than 1,100 workers who lost their lives, we also honor their struggles and raise our voices for the justice of their lives. These are not actually accidents. They were the result of the system that puts profits before people. So remembering Rana Plaza should be a political act, and it is about demanding accountability from global brands and from corporations and from the government. It is about saying clearly that no worker should die for fashion and for profit and for global supply chains. And on this day, we call for action, especially safe and dignified workplace for workers and living wages, not poverty wages, full corporate accountability across global supply chains, and implementation of strong labor protection, including ILO Convention 190 on violence and harassment as well, because Sri Lanka also recently ratified it after Bangladesh last December. Then it comes May 1st, Global International Workers' Day. This is a day rooted in struggle and also in the history of workers organizing and demanding their rights. And that struggle continues today as well. So May Day reminds us that workers' rights are human rights, and also the right to organize, the right to fair wages, and right to dignity at work. These are not privileges, these are fundamental rights. As the World March of Women, we bring a strong feminist voice to the labor movement. We say that women workers are not just victims of exploitation, they are the leaders of resistance. From factory floors to communities, women are organizing, speaking out, and challenging injustice every day. We also remind the world that there can be no labor justice without gender justice as well. Because women workers continue to face discrimination, violence, unpaid care burdens, and exclusion from decision making as well. So from Sri Lanka to Bangladesh to the Philippines, our struggles are connected through the same global system. But so is our resistance. So today, our message is not only to remember, but also to act together, to organize, to demand, and to resist. So because from Rana Plaza to today, we are still fighting for a world where workers' lives are valued, where women can work without fear, and where dignity is not negotiable. So at last, I wanted to say, We stand together in solidarity, in strength, and in struggle until justice from this corner to that corner in the whole world. This is not just a demand, but a reality for every woman, every worker, everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much again, Gayani, for those powerful calls to action. Go ahead, Sister Nice.
Thank you, Sister Jean and Sister Gayani. And we really seconded Sister Gayani's voice and message for us to have our collective action on the 24th and on the May 1st, because it's very important that we show our resistance, that we need to push back, that this war has to end, because if this will continue, our suffering will continue. And it's up to us to fight and push for our alternatives. And this is not just about us or one organization. It should be important that all workers and women and movements around the world are united to end the war, to end the crisis, and united in ending different forms of systematic oppression like patriarchy and capitalism. It should be us advancing the interests of the women and of the working class.
Thank you so much also, Sister Nice. We have heard the voices from Bangladesh to Sri Lanka to the Philippines, and everyone is calling to you, mga kababayan, to the public, to mobilize both on April 24 and also on May 1 to call to stop the war, to stop corporate culpability, stop corporate exploitation of workers and also of women. It's very, very important for us to show our forces, both as women and also as workers, on these days, not only digitally, but it's also very important to publish our calls on the accountability of the Trump administration, the accountability of the arms corporations that are producing military equipment and are profiting from these wars, as well as the corporations who have been exploiting our workers everywhere. So together we will demonstrate our unity, and as our sisters here said, our continued resistance and pushback, as well as in building our own alternatives for a demilitarized globe or world, and also a more peaceful countries, and greater protection for women, and of course, for a feminist economy. So maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat, sa inyong pakikinig. Muli po, maraming salamat kina Gayani Gomez, kina Salima Sultana, at gayon din kay Nice Coronacion. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. At muli po ang tabayanan ninyo, Aksyon Kababaihan sa susunod na Webes.